Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wyoming Knits YouTube channel. My name is Jenny Lee and this is my channel where I like to talk about all the things that I've been knitting on over the past week. Today is Sunday, April 20th. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. And this is episode 87. Coming to you today from Southwest Wyoming, where I live with my husband, our daughter, and our little Yorkie, Dax. You can find me on Instagram as Jenny Lee Knits, and you can find me on Ravelry as Jenny Lee S Knits. Over on Ravelry, I am hosting a Cal this year. It is the Wyoming Knits Scrappy Cal 2025. This will be going on all year. I have an accessories category, a sweaters and cardigans category, and a blanket category. So any of your scrappy makes, go ahead and go over to Ravelry and post those in the finished objects thread. Excuse me. I just drank a Pepsi and it's giving me a little extra. So today I don't have any finished objects. Surprise. I am working on lots of sweaters and that is my main focus right now because I just want to be a sweater knitter, I guess. So let's start with works in progress. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is in this small bag from Mountain State Stitches. Let's see, can you... This is one of my favorite bags. It's got the cork bottom, box bottom, and then this little handle. This is my favorite for walking and knitting. And this one, oh, let me grab a sock blocker. I have a half finished object. I was right here ready to finish the toe last time. This is the Stack of Books pattern by Lindsay of Sock Witchery. I did a German twisted cast on and I cast on 64 stitches. I did a 2x2 rib for 20 rounds and then I started the Stack of Books pattern. I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then I worked for 80 rounds and then did my toe. These are a pair of socks for my mom for Mother's Day. And I have started on the second one. I do all of my socks on 9-inch circular needles until I get to the toe. And then I use magic loop for the toe. So I usually switch out right before I start the decreases or on the decrease round. Do the toe, Kitchener the toe, and then cast on with 9-inch circulars. Again, I am using, I want to say a size 1. This size is a size 0. I like to use the 0 for a thinner fingering weight. I just like the tight stitches I get from a 0. Sometimes I'll go back and forth between a 0 and a 1 depending on which fingering weight yarn I am using. The Knit Picks Felici or Knit Picks Stroll, I like to do 0s, but when I do anything that's a little bit plumper like an 85-25 or 85-15, I'll usually go with a size 1. And so these will be for my mom for Mother's Day. I'm using the Felici in Night Market, and this was a fall of 2022 color. So that was the first thing I worked on. The next thing I have is in this bag. You've seen this one a few times if you've been here. This is a tea cake and make bag. I will have all the bag makers that I used today linked in the description box below. I will have all the yarn that I can link. Usually it's just to the website where I bought the yarn, because some of the hand-dyed yarn is only available for a short period, and then they don't have that available anymore. So I will link where you can find maybe something similar in their shop. And so this next one is my Musselburgh hat. I worked on it just a little bit this week. I'm using my stitch stoppers I got from Twice Sheared Sheep. Over Christmas, these came in my Advent box, and I have not got very far on this one. I am using a size 1.5 needle for this hat. I had talked about using a size 2, and I did not like the fabric I was getting from the size 2 needle, but I really like the fabric I'm getting from the size 1.5. I did the increases on Magic Loop, and after I did all of my increases, I switched to a 16-inch needle so I can just go round and round. And I'm using Cascade Heritage, and I believe this one is the color Snow. I will also have the color number on the screen. So that was the second thing I worked on this week. And the rest is sweaters and blankets. I am in a sweater knitting era, I guess. And let's talk about this one. You have seen this bag since September. I'm using a chick that knits. And this is the color Fern Gully. And I'm working on my Birch Pullover. So I have finally picked up the sleeve, the first sleeve, and just barely picked up. I don't even know if I've done one full round. I am finished with the hem. I did 2 inches of a 2x2 rib on the hem, and then I did a sewn bind off. I don't know if it's actually the tubular bind off or it's just a sewn bind off. I didn't do any of the setup rounds between, but I did take 2 sets of needles, and I put all my knit stitches on one needle and all my purl stitches on one needle, and it's basically the Kitchener stitch all the way around the hem to do a sewn bind off. So you can do the sewn bind off on a 1x1 without moving the knit stitches to one needle and the purl stitches to another needle. But on a 2x2 rib, I think Andrea Mowry likes to have you do one row where you switch the orientation. No, not the orientation. You switch, so you'd have 2 knit stitches, 2 purl stitches, and then you take and you move this stitch over so your stitches are like this now, and then you bind off. So I tried it just putting the 2 2 knit stitches on one needle, 2 purl stitches on one needle, 2 knit stitches, 2 purl stitches, and then I just did a Kitchener stitch, which worked for me. It does take a little bit longer to get those stitches on the needle, but I think I found like I really enjoy how this looks, and I don't mind doing the sewing on this anymore. Before I was like, I just want to bind off, I just want to be done, and now it's like, no, I'm gonna sew it. I like the way it looks. I know the Kitchener stitch really well now. I know the sewn bind off stitch really well now, and it's really easy for me to remember. So on your needle, if your first stitch is a knit stitch, you're going to do the setup round where you go in the knit stitch purlwise, in the purl stitch knitwise. So you go purlwise, and then you move your needle to the back, and you go through knitwise. You go through the purl stitch knitwise, and then you knit the knit stitch off and go through the next knit stitch purlwise. If you have the knits on, yeah, you would go through the next knit stitch knitwise, and then you purl the purl stitch off and go through the next purl stitch knitwise. So you're always knitting or purling off whatever that stitch was. Then you're going through the next stitch the opposite of what it is. I don't know if that was confusing, if it helped, but that's what I do. And then when my needle's on the back side of the work, I know I'm on a knit off, purl the next knit stitch, and when my yarn is coming from the front, I know that my next stitch has to be a stitch that goes on the back, so you would purl off the purl stitch and knit through the next purl stitch. So I don't know if that helps, but that's what I remember every time I work on it. So this was the Birch Pullover by Andrea Mowry. I don't know if I remembered to say that, but it should have been on the screen most of the time that I was talking about this. Let me know if you like to have it on the screen the whole time, if you only like to have it at the beginning when I'm first talking about it, or if you would like to see it on there a shorter amount of time, a longer amount of time. Let me know in the comments below, and I can make that work. So this is a Sassy Sacks. I got this on an Etsy shop that I will have linked in the description. And the next one is also in a Sassy Sacks. This is the sweater size. I don't remember which size that one is. The large, I think. And I am doing the Bingo sweater by Twin Stitches Designs. This is a sweater that I got with my membership to the Twin Stitches Designs membership. And it was a make-along, and I started after the make-along was over. And I'm using Knit Picks Wonderfluff in the color Cobblestone Heather. And I have almost, I was right there last time, I have almost made it all the way down to the hem. I have, I don't have a measuring tape handy. Yes, I do. Let's see. I am at 9 inches from the underarm, and I have to go to 13, so I have 4 more inches to go before the hem. This is a round yoke sweater. It's very lightweight, but I think it's going to be very, very warm. I have the sleeves on my I think these are 8-inch Chow red lace interchangeables, and I just bought the stoppers to go with it. The stoppers on the large size are black and the stoppers on the small size are white. I don't know if they have stoppers. They do have stoppers for the mini set, and those are white also. So this is what I got so far. Almost ready for the hem. It was super easy to follow the pattern. I'm using a size 10 needle on this one. My birch, I was using a size 2 needle. These are also Chow, but these are the bamboo ones because I didn't have any of my metal ones available when I started working on this one. So that's that one. And then I have this one in my Bag by Awesome Granny. Here's our tag. And this is the Resource Raglan. And I am using Knit I Dye in the color Lavender Fields. I think this is still on her website. I think this is one that is almost always on there. And this is an 85-15 Superwash Merino DK weight, 246 yards per 100 grams. And I have split for sleeves on this one. I have my Chow with the stitch stoppers. And I was right here last time. So I did do quite a bit on this. We did not have school on Friday, so I was able to work on this most of the day on Friday. And then I worked on my Birch Pullover I worked on this Friday and Saturday, and then my Birch Pullover Saturday night, and did the bind off and picked up the sleeve. So this is my second cake. I had 5 skeins of this to work with. So I used to cake up all of my yarn before I started a project, and now I cake up one at a time because I have found that if I cake it all up, then I am left with, I think this was a full cake that I never broke into, and this one I may have used a tiny bit. So I have been trying to not cake it up until I know I'm going to use it, and then that way if there's leftovers it can go back nicely on the shelf. Let's see, the next one is my Premier Bloom Chunky in the Hydrangea color. I am doing the Garter Columns Throw that I found on the Premier Yarn website. I am still on the second skein. There was a knot and then a color change, so I just snipped it and kept going. So there is a section where the pink lasted a little bit longer. Let's not drop stitches. So it's got these fun garter columns in the middle. garter border, and it had a pretty thick border on the bottom. I want to make this blanket for one of the ladies that works in our school. She is retiring at the end of this year and moving to Utah to be with her family. And I have, I want to say six. I started with 6 skeins of yarn, and to be finished, ready to gift this to her, I would need to go through at least 1 skein a week. I think I'm behind, so I'm gonna have to get working on that. It is chunky yarn, so it does start to hurt my hands and my wrists a little bit. So there's been a couple of days that I've chosen not to work on it to give my hands a rest, but I think I'm going to have to do at least 30 to 45 minutes every day after school to be able to finish that blanket before the end of the school year. I do need to start my mother-in-law's socks that I'm going to be making for her for Mother's Day. I only have just a couple weeks left before Mother's Day. But that is everything I worked on this week. Let's talk about mail. I did get my Mama Jess April mystery yarn, and because she had the inspiration pictures up before I purchased it, I noticed that there was a lot of purple, and I said, ooh, that might be a really pretty sweater. So I ordered 3 skeins to do a sweater in purple, and this color is Shades of Purple, April Mystery 2025. So it's just a tonal purple. And then this was the mini set that it came with this month. I'm going to put this in my sea glass cardigan. So this will be caked up after today and in the bag with the rest of my yarn. But I was thinking about the purple after I got it, and I was thinking, what sweater do I want to make? Do I want a sweater? Do I want a cardigan? I think I'm going to go with a cardigan, and a cardigan that I've made before. I think I want to make another Mama cardigan and maybe go with some longer sleeves. But this is the Mama I made last summer. You can see where the color changed. I used Tiltwitch Knitz. I can't remember what color this one was. I will look back on my Ravelry and it should be on the screen somewhere. But these were 3 skeins of Tiltwitch Knitz. I think you can tell right here where I picked up the sleeve is a different skein than the beginning, and about right here on the rest of the body where I changed skeins, and I'm pretty sure these 3 skeins came as like a mystery oopsie. I ordered some from her last year at the beginning of the year. She had a mystery skein sale, and I purchased a few of them because I liked the colors, and I think all 3 of these orange ones came in 3 different packages, but they all had the same name on them, and I was like, oh, they'll be close. Not quite close enough for me to want to wear it to school or anywhere. I do wear it around the house in the mornings when I get up. It's nice to cover my arms. So I think I want to make another Mama in purple. I think that'll be a nice little cardigan to wear. I did have 3 skeins when I started this, and I'm pretty sure I had some left over. So I think I could do at least 3/4 length sleeves, and I think that would be fine. I could wear it to school over a t-shirt, and that way it'll just keep my shoulders and my arms a little bit warmer in the cooler spring months or in the fall. So I think that's what I'm gonna do with this summer. I gotta finish these sweaters. I have more sweater quantities right here. I really want to make the no frill sweater. I think I'm going to do that one next. I think I want to make the no frill sweater, the Louvre sweater. I really want to work with this Sinful yarn with the sparkle and the tweed. I think I'm going to do a daily pullover with this one. And then I have 2 skeins left over from my Market Henley, and I thought about holding it with this and finding a Surrey and doing a Doppio. I think that might be fun. This is Yarn Bee that I got from Hobby Lobby. Some of these, the white is a little creamier, some of them the white is a little grayer. So I don't want to do just that. I want to hold it with something. So we will see. This Friday and Saturday is the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair in Ogden, well, not Ogden, Farmington, Utah. It's right outside of Ogden. I think I'm going to go to that over the weekend. I took Friday off of school so I could go. So we'll see what kinds of yarn I bring back from there. I'm probably going to get at least 1 sweater quantity and some Surrey or mohair to hold double with something. So we'll see what I get up to next week. Until then, have a happy Easter and happy knitting.